sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Use of live reindeer as opposed to dead reindeer, which is normally called venison, I think. Sorry. At the Christmas market. Now, again, just to remind people, I'm quite sure people are aware of this, there was quite a long discussion. Doesn't really seem that long ago, because it was not that long before the Christmas market when we had concerns, and I think it actually went to full council about a campaign group who were trying to persuade us not to have live animals of any description in our market. In the end, we decided to go with having the reindeer. What I'm slightly concerned about, Lisa, is why are we making a decision about this?
Because this always comes to you early on in the year because she has to book us in. She's in demand.
So it's about
we have to book them in.
Booking in. Right.
It's always before springtime that we are bringing it to you normally. So, and because concerns were expressed last time, I thought we'd probably best start discussing it now.
I think there are two issues here. One is the cost thing, and I think estates can appropriately deal with the cost. My concern is, given the, shall we say, emotions around the use of live animals, I wonder whether we need to separate out the two and whether or not council needs to, as a council, make a decision around the ethical use of live animals, and the costs have to be considered separately to that. That's just the thought about.
How many times do we have to decide on this ethical matter? Because it's not very long, as you just reminded us, that we've had this conversation. Why do we have to do it again?
I think the difference was that, again, I'm having to do this from memory, which is not always the best way to approach a subject. I think last time we had already booked these, and for that matter, paid for them. And then we had these, shall we say, notices of concern from an action group, suggesting that they might take action against us going ahead with it. So the decision last time was more about, do we stick to our guns and go ahead, or do we essentially say, no, we won't have animals? So I'm not sure council really did have a decision on the ethical use of avenues per se. I think it was a slightly different discussion last time.
Yeah, I think the decision was as well, we would go with it this time, but then we would discuss it moving forward.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
But just as an update, there were absolutely no issues, there was no complaints, there were no people turned up to protest, and one of the councillors who was particularly concerned that this might be an issue reported back and said that he didn't see any signs of distress. He said they looked relaxed, they looked at home in their environment.
So sorry, John, I think you were trying to say something?
No? I think that for me, it's something I'm against, the use of live animals. But if the Estates Committee think that they've got the power to make that call, they can make it now. If the Estates feel that it would be better to get the opinion of 9 more people, then we should defer it. I don't mind which we do. I want to register my objection to it as a matter of principle, and I don't know how we take that forward.
Well, I think you probably, maybe I didn't make myself as clear as I thought. I'm essentially proposing estates can't make that call, and I'd like to defer it to full council.
I'll be supportive of that.
Ian?
Can we give full council a steer? So estates think that, but
I'm happy to talk to it in terms of full council about the history of it and reporting back about the concerns about last time. But I still feel it should be. It's an emotive subject, and I think it should be a full council decision. I wouldn't like this committee to make a decision for then members of full council to say, well, hang on a minute, happy of you making that in my name.
I don't think you're saying we should make a decision, you're saying, you're asking whether this committee should say to council, we're in favour of it, but it's your call, or we're against it, but it's your call.
Oh, I see what you mean. I wasn't quite reading it like that.
But there's also a bigger issue, isn't there? If we say no to live animals, are we saying no to circus animals? Are we saying no to agricultural shows? Are we saying no to anything? I mean, I don't know. But there's a bigger issue, isn't there, rather than just the reindeer?
Yeah, that's fair.
Just to say, there are no live animals now in circuses, but there's a regulation that applies to circuses because of how long the animals are performing or kept in a certain place. It's different with the reindeers because they have a maximum time, including their travel time, that falls below the regulations applying to them.
No, I remember we looked at the submission from whatever it's called, Holly Farm or wherever they come from, when we discussed this before Christmas, and they clearly demonstrated as best they could about the travel time and all this kind of stuff. So, I think the only reason I would suggest that it goes to full council is that we had a discussion before Christmas. We agreed to go ahead. The circumstances are slightly different. And also, a number of the councillors actually saw them there, and I think could make a decision based on recent history of having seen them there. I mean, again, my personal view was, in principle, I'm against live animals being used in that way. That said, when I was there on the day, I mean, they looked so docile. I couldn't see them, but you never know what's going on in their little tiny minds. And equally, they're a crowd drawer, the children love them, so it's very difficult.
They are bred as petting animals.
No, that's true.
That is
That is true.
they're not wild animals that would be caught and
They're not exactly Bambi, are they?
no, they're bred as petting animals.
No, okay. So my proposal is, and again, I'm not quite sure I've addressed your concern. I think, no, it's John's concern. You were saying, John, should we recommend this to council, either suggesting that they don't have animals or they do have animals? I'm actually going to slightly change that and say that we have a discussion and ask council to make a decision without an estate's recommendation. I'm not convinced that we should be recommending it one way or the other. Just let's have that discussion.
Is that your proposal?
Yes, that's my
I can
proposal.
second that.
So thank you, James. All those in favour? Ian? No? Okay. So carried with an abstention. Okay, thank you very much. I think we're now on to any other business to report. Lisa, you put, because it's not anywhere else on the agenda, and I'm not quite sure whether this is a report only, and we have it on the, we've got lots of pictures, and there's an email about the cables in Apollo House.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
given that we can't make a decision
No,
on that,
but the pictures and her information came in after I published the agenda, so, and I have to be honest, she had contacted me and I completely forgot about it. But I thought possibly it's more of a planning thing anyway.
I think it probably is.
So
Let's
we'll
kick
pop it on
it to planning, if only because it will be discussed the week ahead of this meeting.
And then,
All I would just say, if it goes to planning, there was that email from somebody called Robinson, I can't remember the name, doesn't really matter. It really wasn't clear what was, to me at least, yeah, there are lots of pictures, I can see the cable.
well, they're
But
still not sure.
what are we being asked?
They've now come up with another proposal where the cables go underground, and I went straight back to her and I said, that would probably be.
What I'm saying is that if it goes to planning, I think it needs to be in the form of a clear proposal. It really wasn't clear to me what
Well,
we were
she's
being asked by
still
who.
being advised at the
Okay.
moment, that's why she wasn't very sure. But I
Let's-
said to get the pictures to each
So
other.
if you take action on that,
Yeah,
and we'll take it off this agenda altogether.
okay.
So, Mal, any other business?
No.
James, any other business?
Yes, please. So
Thank you for including the planter authorisation document in the pack. Is that part of an ongoing dialogue with Blooming Oundle, or do you think that answers the question?
It just shows the permission that was sought. That's as far as I'm aware, anyway.
Okay. So you're continuing to talk to Blooming Oundle about exactly what they are maintaining and from whom they think they've got permission to do that?
I haven't, because I didn't deal with it in the beginning, but I can certainly ask Emma if she's in touch with them.
We used to have a formal liaison person with Blooming Oundle, which was Councillor Jerry Hutton. And I'm not convinced that that was ever replaced as such, was it?
Not as far as I know, no.
Which is possibly why there's a bit of a breakdown in communication, James.
Yeah, so, but we need to have, so it needs to not be reliant on councillors, the officers need to, because this comes back to, we don't know whether we are responsible for Blooming Oundle planters. All we've seen is the thing in Oundle Life that said that they asked us for permission to place planters. I can tell you that there is a planter, a very large planter at the top of Benefield Road on the way to the golf club that says Blooming Oundle on it.
Yeah.
It's not mentioned on this authorisation which Northants has granted to Oundle Town Council to place things. So given that Blooming Oundle think that they've got permission from Oundle Town Council for some stuff, I think this question does not go away until we as a council have engaged with Blooming Oundle and have a full list of everything that they think they've placed and the basis on which they think they've placed it, that we can then reconcile against all things that we think we've got permission from Northants for and that we might be responsible for. Right. And the difficulty for that, around that again, comes back to public liability, because if Blooming Oundle think that they've got permission from us to put the thing at Benefield Road,
we've had this discussion before.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to understand how, given that this has appeared in our pack, how it contributed to the total.
Okay. Again, it's not an agenda item, so
no, it's only a business, but it's not an agenda item because it doesn't need us to vote on it.
No,
I'm asking for an update from the officer about what should be report.
Technically, all you can do is report.
Okay.
So what you can do is ask for it to be on the next agenda to discuss.
I'm just trying to work through a compromise here, James.
Okay.
Because I completely get your concern, I completely understand and sympathise with your concern. But given that we're only reporting here, maybe when Lisa and I are developing a future agenda, we ensure that this is on the agenda. Cool. Okay. Is that? Thank you for your report.
And the other thing was
oh, sorry, there's a second.
I note that there was some graffiti happening to our bins, etc. And report that to the estates officer for presumable paint removal.
Yeah, we've taken action on that. I've reported it to the police and the various reports that have come in and the description of the.
Yeah, because they've also tagged it.
Yeah.
But do we then have a policy that says we're going to now go and make sure that comes off within a week? Or do we leave all the bins with graffiti on?
What about the bins?
No.
In garage.
Well, being relatively new, I don't know whether we have I'm asking for information.
I think the problem is they're not our bins, are they?
The ones in the recreation ground are, but anything externally, I've reported on Fix My Street as well, so Northants are technically responsible, and I think BT are responsible for waste on their boxes, so it's been reported to the various places, but certainly the ones that are on our land, we can get a chance to try and give them a clean.
I know you've got your hand up, but I'm going to go, this is a report session, so this is not a discussion session. Ian.
5 things.
Oh my word.
First of all, the cold tarmac in St Peter's Churchyard is holding.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more of that soon. Secondly, talking of bins in Pocket Park, I went past one this morning. There's one on the west side near the fence that's just been moved by the housing association, and it's got big rusty holes. That maybe someone's kicked out. I don't know. Did we decide to replace that a while ago?
Is it just a normal bin?
Normal metal bin next to us.
Yeah, we've got 3 sitting in the workshop ready to go,
So
so,
that
and
was
it was gonna be the worst case, you know, the worst ones that were being removed
I like that.
first.
Might be moving up the list.
So it's on the west
It's
side.
on the west
so-
side, yeah, on the road from the track up to the back of King's Road.
Right,
There's also been some recent youth drinking in Pocket Park, report only. Number 4, that's 3 already. I went on an EV course you recommended online last week. It was very interesting, not very useful because it was the big scale stuff, but it was still really interesting. And the last thing, solar panels.
No, yes.
So, that's
well, there
a
was
very
yeah.
simple.
There was an email about this.
So very simple. That's roughly what electricity usage was last year. And then this one, electricity use this year, solar panels kicking in roughly, depending on the present months, 30 to 40% reduction. I've just updated it, and at the moment, it looks like we're reducing our electricity usage by about 40%. And compared to what we paid for the solar panels, that gives us a rate of return, of about 18%. And they should pay for themselves in about 6.8 years. No, that's a lie, 5.3 years. So I'll keep track of it and
Thank you for that report. As I said before, this is not a discussion item. In terms of comment, you might want to report that one more widely.
Absolutely.
John,
No, nothing.
no, you don't want to think of, you don't want to comment on what you were going to do
That was
before?
a report only.
No, okay. I have nothing to report, in which case, if people are, oh, sorry. you go.
Sorry about that.
That's all right,
I
yeah.
know you obviously didn't.
I'll let you have another
Could
bite.
I just have another go?
You can have another go.
Thank you. This is a report probably for Lisa, but anybody else. VicFest recently used the Victoria Hall for an event. It was fantastic. They absolutely loved the Victoria Hall, and so as did all the people who came. So that's good because that's going to be more use of it.
Right,
But people were stumbling, ladies, going down the long corridor past the kitchen towards the ladies from the foyer.
yeah.
There is a step, 2 steps, and people have said, could there be a notice saying step?
There's no step. I've gone down into the ladies loads of times, there's a step into the ladies, but not down the corridor.
Yes, no, I said down,
Yeah.
you go down the corridor and then you step.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Sorry, I thought you meant down the corridor.
No.
I've never noticed that step.
Yeah,
There's also a much bigger step if you go in the
Steps
other
coming
end.
the other way.
Yeah.
The steps coming from the
Yeah,
stage way.
That's what I mean, the steps
Yeah.
to the other side.
But you reported it now, it's not really the state's
You
matter.
might be wondering why I know all about the ladies' lavatories, but
well,
let's not
one
worry
could
about that.
wonder. But,
It's because I have to use it as a shortcut when comment is on, but let's not worry about that. So I actually will do a report.
well, they're not
saying-
going to invent the steps,
No.
they've stumbled. And all they're wanting is a notice above it somewhere
Yeah.
saying, mind the step.
So Creative Angle hired QVH on Friday night last, only to discover that another organisation had monopolised the stage, which made things very, very awkward for us. And I think either we should have been told that the stage was out of bounds, or we should be remunerated. That's my report. In which case I am now going to declare the meeting closed at 7:30. Thank you very much, one and all, for what was an interesting